I'm Jack McCoy, and I believe this is volume 6 in a series of Mastering the Art of Singing. And what I'd like to talk about today is first, I'd like to share an experience that happened with me years ago when I was trying to figure out which direction to take for my singing. I had studied classically, and but I enjoyed a variety of kinds of singing. It also was rather like a lot of people do. We watch a lot of television and seeing television shows, thinking, well, there's a variety of ways to go with this. So my parents used to watch a show called the Lawrence Welk Show. So by way of that, I used to watch that show a lot. And although I didn't really see myself as being a good fit for me, there was a show that was pretty much a little straight laced for me, I guess I'd say. It isn't like I think it was a badge or whatever, but it was just, I didn't know that it was my end kind of goal anyway. But I thought, what the heck? If I take a shot at being on this show, at least I'll have some better perspective if I get on the show as to what there is to choose from in the world, and in terms of maybe even television or whatever that I may pursue as a career. So I contacted, it would be the secretary. I called down to talk to the secretary of Lawrence Welk. And I didn't know at the time, but based on my speaking voice, when I would talk to her, she liked my speaking voice, and we would talk. And I would say, if I want to audition for to be on the show, what would I do? And she said, well, you know what, Mister Welk, because they're going to be doing a show up in your way in Portland, Oregon, and the Memorial Coliseum. She gave me the dates as when it was going to happen. I said, before the show, he just kind of, see where he's going to come into the before he goes to get ready for the show. He has goes into dress rooms and things. And she said, you want to find out where that is. And then just, when he goes to go in there, you kind of greet him, just say hello, and introduce yourself. I thought, okay, so sure enough. And I labored over what it is I might do, for an audition in this kind of an informal kind of a meeting with Mr. Welk. And what I really wanted to do on the show was my bass voice was like a guy on his show I admired a lot. Two singers I really admired growing up was one Tennessee Ernie Ford, who basically was pretty much like a classically trained singer that could just about do anything. But he did from country, gospel, and he was a TV personality that was bigger in life, and he was just a sweetheart of a guy for his, but it could be tell by him anyway. He just seemed to be a real down home kind of guy. He's also the man who made the song 16 Tons rather famous. Anyway, and that really fell into my voice range. I even have wrote up a little version of it myself. I used to like to sing to myself. Well, a guy on Lawrence Welk's show was named Larry Hooper, and he was the one that handled doing the voice kind of lower range songs and that kind of thing. And but the thing at the time was he was battling cancer, and whereas I wanted to be on the show, I don't know that I was really comfortable, like just like, hey, look at me, I could do Larry songs, and too bad everybody's cancer and everything, but hey, look at me. And I just really felt that was kind of a real selfish approach. So I just kind of thought, well, I'm going to, put that in the back burner. And I'm going to pick a song called Danny Boy. And I had worked as a singing waiter, and I've sung that song many, many times doing Irish programs. And it's got a real lot of range to the song, lower range, high range, and everything. So I figured, I've done this as a singing waiter. I could probably sing in a storm with this song, no matter how nervous I might get being on one-on-one with Mr. Welk, that I would be able to sing this and I'd be able to get through it and I'd be okay. So the day comes and I see him. I say hello to Mr. Welk, and almost immediately he like turns and listens, hears me, and just waves me to come follow him. And it's like I didn't realize at the time it was like, oh, it was a setup, because he must have been told about this guy with a deep voice that, so he kind of like he was expecting me or something. And so anyway, get to go in the dressing room with him and Myron Florin, and they were sharing the dressing room together. He was the accordion player on his show. And it was a real nice little informal meeting and everything. He says, so I guess you want to sing me a song? I said, yeah, sure. So he said, what do you want to sing for me? And I said, I like to sing Danny Boy. And he's kind of like, he didn't seem to familiar with that song. But there was a guy in his show, I forget his name, Joe something or Finnegan or something like that. But anyway, he used to be an Irish tenor, and he used to sing songs like that on the show. But he's probably used to hearing him by an Irish tenor singing, but it seemed to recognize a guy like me singing it. He says, "Okay, just go." So I sing the song and everything, and he sits back and listens, and I get up and I hit this, low ranges, these beautiful high notes and everything. And when I'm done, he just kind of looks up and he goes, "You've studied opera, haven't you?" And I said, "Well, yes, Mr. Polk, I have." And he goes, "Opera has ruined more singers." And that really stunned me because this was, not anything I was expecting. I didn't quite understand what he was saying. Then he went on to proceed to say, "Well, the thing is, in television productions and things like that, you don't have to have that much power in your voice. If we need more power in your voice, we just turn up the poop switch." So many people would regard this as like, what does Mr. Welk know about singing? Obviously, classical singing is very legitimate. And, people did study that. We wouldn't have opera singers, we wouldn't have Broadway singers. And yes, that is absolutely true. But yeah, what he was telling me was there's a whole different uh, reality in terms of television and when you're going to sing, because now you got electronic equipment you're singing with. And this kind of goes way back. This is kind of a favorite subject of mine is that, the first recording ever made and distributed was made by Enrico Caruso. And he was an opera singer. And the people had listened to him at Transcontinental Radio, and he had quite a following, and nobody even owned a phonograph. But the thing is, they figured if they record him because he had such a big following, and they hand out recordings of his, then people will buy a phonograph and listen to the recording. That song he picked was O Sole Mio. O Sole Mio, such a mean you are my sunshine. And he liked that song because it was from Napoli, from the area of Italy he was from. But see, here's the thing. Right at this moment, here is this opera singer, a man used to singing on stages with 60-piece orchestras, a big, full, free voice, and now they wanted to put him in the recording studio. And so he was not adapted to, learn how to work electronics and that sort of thing. So they had to adapt electronics to him. And so they actually backed up that microphone 6 feet away from him before they could get some kind of control over how much his voice had, the registry and everything like that. And so, yeah, he sings that song, also to Mio, and they record it. They give away thousands of that record for free and run out by phonographs because they wouldn't listen to them. So as time goes on from that point, it's like early 20th century, the electronics finally come into being. And so then we're getting involved into TV didn't even come around really until the early 50s, late 40s. And it took a while into the 50s before people started getting television. So, but everything was adapted to, electronics. And so classical singing, like classical voice study, like I did, was born of a time, man. You sang just your one voice against an orchestra. And like I said, it could be 60 piece. Wagnerian singers, of course, a lot of people kind of see as the classical opera singers as being dressed up like the Valkyries and they're singing these huge voices and huge songs. Well, Wagner, he had a lot of brass to his orchestras, and it took a humongous voice to sing against this. And my voice teacher used to have a saying. They says Germany, where her career was, there was a saying that in German that translated to the sound comes from the fat. So a lot of times a person would get real big because that would kind of enhance the kind of the sound quality of their voice or whatever because they would sing from this huge body and that was kind of an old classical way of looking at things. So anyway, now here I am. I'm struggling at this moment to just figure out what this means. He basically went on to say, Mr. Welk did, if you sing more like you speak, he says that was what we're looking for. And if you could do that, get in touch with me. Well, it's at that moment, like I didn't even consider doing this song uh, 16 times because for the reasons I said before, it just, I mean, career wise, it was a bad move not to do it. But on a human level, it just felt, more right to me. And I didn't really feel like just doing that, like say, draw attention to myself because Larry Hoover was ill at the time anyway and try to replace him in the show and things. So, but, career wise, that was a bad move. But anyway, so these are things to consider. One is you want to spend your time doing. You don't have an unlimited amount of time. If you want to spend your time singing, you might want to think about what your end goal is. Like what you say is what kind of singing do you really want to do? Do you want to sing on stage? Do you want to sing on be a musical thing, theater singer? Do you want to be an opera singer? Do you want to be a pop singer? And the more you get into popular type of music, the more it is you're going to become what I like to refer to as a mic baby because you were born in the time of where electronics is part of your voice. And smaller voices, particularly, need microphones to be heard. And most of the time, you're going to see people, singing, they're going to be having microphones, and there's a whole different art to holding microphones. And some of the guys like Kenny Rogers, if you watch him, he would really good about moving that mic too closer or farther away from him because depending on what his voice was going to do, he knew exactly how that was going to sound. Well, now these days, it's gotten more sophisticated. People handle sounding boards who handle the sound, are able to make those adjustments and things that they can, so they don't have to do it so much on their own anymore. But you'll even show it kind of shows like The Voice, America's Got Talent, whatever. They're going to be using microphones when they're singing on stage. But the other thing is, I recommend you get good about using a mic or not using mic because even though when you're performing on that show, you'll probably have a microphone when you're auditioning, you will not have a microphone. They're gonna just want to hear your voice, and that's that. You might have an instrument to copy or something like that, but you're not gonna have a microphone. And I've never known an audition that had a microphone. What kind of music it was for? And so like I said, I would suggest you get good about not using the microphone. But being able to use a microphone, yes, especially if you're going to pursue things like any kind of television or pop music, you're going to be needing that microphone, and that's going to be part of what you're going to be using in your lifetime. So anyway, so this is what I recommend. Like I said, kind of figure out what kind of direction of music you want to take. Keep with doing vocal leases like in volume 2. Keep stretching your voice, keep strengthening your voice, keep learning how to hear your voice outside because no matter what, that's going to come in handy. And at some point, but I'm going to make a little demonstration of what it is like to switch the different kinds of singing up and even doing that in the course of a song. But I'm going to say that for a future time. Today, I want to end with that little tune I sang called 16 Tons, the one that I probably should have done. Well, here's a little rendition of that. Some people say a man is made out of mud. A poor man's made out of muscle and blood. Muscle and blood and a singing bone. A mind that's weak, but a back that's strong. You load of 16 tons, but what'll you get? But another day older and deeper in debt. St. Peter, don't you call me, 'cause I can go. I owe my soul to the company store. What about a wow.